Good morning, Dr. Ibarra. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, despite the fact that, taking a week off and getting back into the swing of things is kind of tough sometimes. But
Yes, sir. Monday was rough, but now
it was rough, and just a few more weeks, and then it's the Christmas holiday break, and we'll have some more time off, and then it'll be next year.
Yes, sir.
So
we're all looking forward to 2021.
So any big news in the Bryan Independent School District to share with us?
The only thing that I would like for people to remember is that if you are thinking about changing the instructional model for your student for the 4th 6 weeks, which will start when we come back from the Christmas break, from the winter break, you need to take care of that by next Tuesday.
Okay, so everybody should have gotten that text and probably email with a link that you click on. And once again, you can go either way. You can go from being a distance learner to being face-to-face or vice versa. But it seems
hybrid.
like...
Yes, sir.
Or hybrid in the case of the upper grade levels. So right now, what's the percentage? It seems like every 6 weeks, a few more kids come back to campus.
Yes. Well, in elementary school, it's about close to 85% school. District-wide, we're around, I believe, 75% in person. I haven't looked at the numbers in the last 2 weeks, but it's
shifting more and more towards being face-to-face. We haven't hit a point where it's stalled out or anything.
No. It's definitely has been increasing towards face-to-face.
Okay, very good. So we have a special guest this morning. Would you like to introduce him?
Yes, definitely. We're very excited because we have Alex Medlock here with us. He is Bryan High School choir director, and had the opportunity to work with him a few years back. And I have also seen some of the amazing work that he does with his students. And good
morning, Alex. Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome to KEOS Community Radio. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Where are you from? How'd you get here? And how did you get involved in music and wind up being the choir director at Bryan High School?
Well, I've been in Bryan College Station since '83. My parents moved here, and my dad got a job at A&M Consolidated High School. So I'm a local boy, 38 years here.
So you're a townie.
Yes, sir. and I haven't left. It's a great city, a great district, a great community, and just a great place to raise a family. And so I grew up here and went to Consolidated, and then graduated from Sam Houston State University back in '96. And
so you were in the music program at Sam Houston?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you knew at an early age music was what you wanted to do.
Yes. My parents are both musicians. My mom plays the piano. My dad is a music minister at a local church and retired math teacher. And so there's been music in my family my whole life. And yes, I knew early on as a teenager that music was going to be a part of my career.
So, can I ask you a quick question? You said your dad was a teacher at Consol. What was?
Yes, my dad taught Algebra 2, and well, back then it was called computer science.
I remember computer science.
It was like, I guess, early '80s. This is before, and so my dad has some computer programming. But computer programming in the '80s looked a lot different than computer programming now.
Oh, yeah. I remember computer science back when I was in high school was programming in what we call machine language.
Yes,
which was,
Go-to.
Well, it wasn't. There wasn't even. Well, we won't get off into that, but it was different, a whole lot different. So, what exactly does the choir director do, and what are some of the things about your position as the choir director at Bryan High School that you enjoy the most?
Oh, wow. Well, choir is obviously centered around singing.
Vocal music.
Yes, and connecting with our audience. We're gearing up for a performance coming up in about a week, or actually a week from today. And so we're talking to the kids about what it means to perform versus what it means to just sing.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is to have fun and to enjoy music, to learn about music. So the students that come into your particular program, do they typically already have, I guess, a certain level of achievement as far as developing as a musician or as a vocalist, or do students have the option of selecting choir as an option and coming in with absolutely no training at all and getting started from the ground up?
Yes, the answer to that is both. We have kids that begin and are involved in local community theaters and doing musicals, and have been a part of our intermediate and middle school choirs. So we have kids that come in with a pretty good knowledge of the fundamentals of choir and singing. Mm-hmm. And then we have kids that they say, wow, my friend's in choir and I want to be a part of choir. I want to give it a try. And there's a place for those kids as well. And so we'll take you at any level of competency. And we just love singing and singing together. So
there are different types of choirs. There's choirs that y'all have that you mentioned church. Your dad being a music director, and that's one type of choir. There are there's barbershop quartets. I'm familiar with all those. So your particular choir at Bryan High School, what makes it different? What's unique about it?
Well, we have the traditional choir. I guess that most people would think about is
which is
the
a larger number,
a large group,
which
singing
typically
on,
is how many people?
Well, our program has right at about 200 kids in it, but each particular choir, based on ability and grade level, will be anywhere from 30 to 40 kids. We also have a smaller ensemble called Vocal Legacy. That's our contemporary a cappella group. It's an additional choir. Every kid has to be involved in the traditional choir setting. Okay. But if kids are
that's the starting point.
This is my home choir and music and singing. I want another outlet inside of that genre, and so some of them volunteer and will audition for and are part of that contemporary a cappella group.
Okay, so that brings up another question I was going to ask. Is as a student comes into the choir, do they audition, or is there I guess a minimum level of qualification or competency that you try to get them up to at a certain point? You said anybody can come in, so the question is, what does that look like for somebody that's just getting started and coming into the choir? How does that work? So
we've got several levels. We've got a training level, we have a beginner level, an intermediate, and an advanced. And so every kid does audition. We want to evaluate where they're at. And so we kind of move away from the terminology of audition, because that has this high stakes kind of component to it. And so what we've moved towards is, hey, we're going to
So it's not a make or break thing.
No. And we even have, when we do our evaluations in April and May, we tell the kids, hey, you've got a 2-week window to prepare and sing this song or sight read this exercise to us. So to intentionally take away that high stakes component. So if you came in and were evaluated and you didn't like how you did and you could have done better, come back in a couple of days and we'll evaluate you again. And we're always going to take the highest evaluation when we determine at what choir you need to be in for the next school year. So,
does that determine the grade as far as how do you evaluate in terms of determining somebody's grade? Is that just effort and participation, or is there?
It's a great question. And so we have to know the kid first, and then when we see what the kid or the student can achieve, then there's kind of a rolling scale. So if we know a kid is doing their absolute best and not every note is exactly right, that kid is going to get a high mark.
Okay, so the point is doing their best and achieving, moving forward and advancing.
And improving, yes.
Towards whatever their personal best is.
Correct.
Okay. Something that I noticed, because again, I had the opportunity to work at Bryan High School a few years ago, is how close that group is to each other. That is a very unique group of people.
The camaraderie, the family.
Yes, it is a family within a family. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And what are some of the things that you have done to create that environment?
Well, it kind of goes back to a pastor friend of mine who I was under several years ago, who said, Alex, relationships are the key to life. And every person wants to be valued as a person that has worth and has value. And so we try to instill that in our kids, that they are valuable, that they have worth. And then we could try to create an environment where the kids can feel safe and they can explore their passions and then meet with other people that have similar passions, and then we just kind of watch it happen.
Alex, I think I picked up on something there I'd like to explore a little bit, the camaraderie, the family environment. So coming into the vocal music program, or for that matter, probably any program at the high school level, the idea is to enjoy yourself, have fun, learn something. It's not a competitive activity like sports would be. Because if you look at the athletic program, there's an element, no matter where it is, there's an element of competition there. But with the vocal music program, with what you're describing, I'm sure that there are some that are better than others, but the idea is that everybody is part of the group. They all perform together. They all contribute, and everybody learns and enjoys what they're doing.
Yeah, everyone has value, not just because you have a great voice, but because you contribute in other ways. And yes, we try to move away from that competitive. There are competitive angles inside of in choir. There's all region choirs, and we have kids that qualify for state choir. And
yeah, I was going to say there are
for those who wish to compete.
And you have had some as a choir, several accomplishments. Like you just said, a couple of kids made it to state. What does that mean?
So there's several different ways you can compete inside of choir. So it's there. I don't think in America or the world you can get away from the word competition.
Right.
But it's not something that we emphasize on a daily basis. But yeah, we've seen success. We've had individuals that have made it to the state level as individuals to the state choir. 3 years ago, we were invited to, as our entire ensemble was invited to sing at the state convention, which is a huge honor. That only happens for 6 choirs across the entire state. And so in 2018, we were fortunate enough to be selected for that. So I personally am very competitive. And so I kind of like have to calm myself down because I see that there's...
So you're not disappointed when they do well?
No, not at all.
Well, but you also mentioned vocal legacy. So it's not a competitive thing, but it's for those who want to do something different or go a little bit further. So what is vocal legacy, and are there any other I guess avenues? Like I mentioned barbershop a moment ago because that's something I'm familiar with. I know that's a quartet.
Yes.
Generally that's a different type of vocal music, but are there any branches or subsets that those who are interested in developing their talent a little more, or their personal interest is just a little bit different to explore either within Bryan ISD or anything that I guess you feed into?
Yes. So Vocal Legacy is kind of like our pentatonics group. It's a contemporary a cappella group. There's a beatboxer. We do vocal music. Every sound that's made is made with a human voice.
Beatboxing. Wow.
Yeah.
It's
so
pretty amazing.
That sounds like that's kind of a fun group then.
It is a fun group. It's a fun group. One other thing I'd like to mention is when one of the more powerful things I think we do in Bryan really well is we collaborate. This past spring, before the pandemic hit, we put on Hairspray the musical. So we combine our forces.
That's a fun one.
It really was. We combine our forces with the theater and the theater directors, Jacob Justice and Bailey Robert.
Mm-hmm.
And
y'all put on a show.
We put on a show.
Uh-huh.
And I tell you what, those are some of my best memories of being a part of Bryan ISD and being a choir director in Bryan ISD is those collaborative moments where you set out to achieve a goal that seems impossible with a group of teenagers, and at the end the product is something that you and the kids are so proud of, and it just energizes you.
It is amazing. When I first came to Bryan ISD 9 years ago, I've had the opportunity to be in Broadway. I mean, just visiting, and went to a couple musicals and then other places. And then I saw one of the high school musicals. It was The Wizard of Oz, and it was literally a dark and stormy night. That's more for peanuts, but and
Yeah, I remember
but not
that
in the auditorium.
night,
hopefully.
Hugo, there was a tornado in College Station
Yes.
on opening night in 2014.
But the show went on.
the show went on.
Yes.
And, but that was a side note, and it was impressive. But the quality of these musicals and the collaboration is still today. Well, we don't have one right now, but amazing. I was impressed. I couldn't believe that it was a group of high school students and their teachers performing at that level.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is incredible. You're listening to KEOS College Station, Bryan, community radio for the Brazos Valley. We're visiting with Alex Medlock. He's the choir director for Bryan High School. And speaking of challenges, we don't have any tornadoes right now, but we do have COVID. So things are a lot different. Everything is different. School is different. Work is different. So considering the fact that, generally speaking, a choir is a group of people getting together to practice, rehearse, and then perform, how is that working in COVID?
Oh,
But things are a challenge now, aren't they?
It has been challenging. When my assistant director, Brittany Gibson, and I talk and plan the day, we have said numerous times this year, it feels like it's our first year to teach because we're having to relearn.
Because it's so different.
Oh my goodness, and especially with COVID and the spread and information that is reliable and not, and you don't know. There's just all kinds of different things there. So we have definitely erred on the side of caution. We were rehearsing in the auditorium at Bryan High School. Our principal, Lane Boobin, gave us that space so that we could be as safe as possible.
So it is face-to-face, but safe.
It is, yes, sir.
So it's they're face-to-face in the same room, but appropriately distanced.
Well, they're not. Yeah, they're face-to-face with me, but they don't feel super connected to each other because we've got them so spread out.
Is that hard to do? Because isn't part of harmonizing in a choir the elements of hearing the other performers?
Yes. So
how does that work in a large space?
Well, the room is acoustically okay. We have the kids even perform and rehearse with mask on, but we also have a space right next to the Blue Auditorium, the Commons, where we hold our annual Feast of Carols, and that space it was built for the Feast of Carols. It is acoustically like you're in a mini cathedral almost. And so even with the mask on and distancing in that space, which we are fortunate enough to rehearse in, the kids can hear each other.
Still works.
So we've been very blessed in that respect that we've been able to continue and be safe over the course of these first 6 weeks.
So you mentioned the Feast of Carols. What's that?
Oh, man. It is what hooked me. I started teaching at Bryan High in '99, and when I had experienced my first Feast of Carols, I was hooked. I was like, this is my first stop as a teacher, and I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm hooked.
So that's what inspired you then?
Yes, sir. And then we moved into the first musical that I experienced, and that was another highlight. And so there's just something special at Bryan, and the traditions with the choirs that were already in place. I just am honored to be a part of continuing that legacy that's been going on for a long time.
So where does the Feast of Carols take place? I mean, is that something that's going to happen this year?
It is. It's going to be different than in years past. So for those who have attended Feast of Carols in the past, it's going to be a different experience, but it's going to be in the same location. But normally we would pack in 400 people into a pretty small space, this mini cathedral I was describing, which is the Commons area at the Bryan High Blue campus.
Between the schools?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, no, it's in the indoor.
Oh, it is
area.
indoor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
So, and it's got just this beautiful two-section staircase that the kids would stand on and would sing from. But because of safety of the kids and our guests, we've kind of reversed course a little bit, but we're still maintaining the tradition. So guests, if they choose to come, they will purchase a ticket.
Will that be online?
It's online.
Okay. Are tickets available now?
They are available now. We've been selling for a couple of weeks.
Now, am I wrong? But people also have a meal while they're listening, or not this year?
Not this year.
Okay, not this year. Okay, and maybe you said that, but I was taking a picture. I don't know if you did.
Yeah. No, this year we're going to serve, as they enter, they're going to check in at a specific time because we're keeping it 30 people per 15-minute reservation time. So all the information's on the website.
So they're going to be like performing in shifts.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's actually almost like caroling in reverse. So normally when you think of carolers in your neighborhood.
Okay, I get it. The carolers stay put and the people move.
Correct. And so those groups
You're not going to have a moving sidewalk, though.
We are not.
Okay.
That would be a little.
That would be
expensive.
kind of cool.
That is so interesting. I would like to. I would like to see it just to see, because he's a very organized man.
I bet you could buy a ticket and he could tell you how to do that.
I know.
So it's online, bryanisd.org to. Is there a link off there? Sorry to put you on the spot.
But the specific link directly to the ticket sales is www.feastofcarols, all one word, .ludus, LUDUS, and that's the platform we use to sell tickets.com.
Okay.
And when you get there, you'll be prompted how many tickets, and there are time slots that have already sold out. Mm-hmm. But here's the great news. Usually we charge $20 because of the cost of the caterer, and this performance is for our choir senior scholarships. This is our big fundraiser of the year. But this year, it is free.
No meal. Oh, it's free?
It is free.
Oh,
and so
okay.
we have put in a suggested donation of $10 a person, and those who have signed up so far have been very generous. But this is something that anybody can come to. If you are financially in a tough spot, but you want some Christmas cheer, sign up and come.
So what would people expect to hear when they go to this?
Well, they're going to hear probably 15 of the most common traditional carols. Each station that the guests go to are going to hear a couple of songs, so they'll be at each station for approximately 3 minutes. And as they weave their way through the Bryan High campus, they'll end in the Commons area where we traditionally have Feast of Carols for one last song. And then we'll ask for some more money because...
Well, of course, shake them down. But it's a fundraiser.
That's right.
But this is also, I'm thinking, a good opportunity for people, for example, if they attended Bryan High School years ago to see it, or if they don't live in Bryan, have always been curious about that, because this is the Blue Campus, which is the first building that was there, where the Viking statue is.
50 years ago. Yeah.
50 years ago. So it's a great opportunity. Sometimes people want to go see the buildings, and especially now it's nearly impossible. So anyways.
And I think we've got a little sample of what they might hear when they come.
So would you like to, what are we going to hear?
This is last year's performance of Carol the Bells. You may hear a baby cry because it was a live recording. Yes, sir.
All right, let's listen.
Sing song.
am amazed. That is a high school choir?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. So, yeah, get your tickets and go. That's all I can say. That is breathtaking. Well, so what are your visions for the Bryan High School Choir? Where are you going to take the program? Where are they going to go, and how are you going to get them there?
Wow, that's a big question. Well, I think it goes back to I think when you focus on the wrong thing, you get the wrong result. And so Brittany and I both think focusing on the student and focusing on encouraging them and helping them believe that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve, and instilling value and worth in them is really the goal in itself. And then the achievements and the accolades, I think, just follow behind. But when you focus on the achievement, then you lose the kid. And so I hope I'm still thinking that way. I don't always think that way. Sometimes I get too concerned with the details and perfection of the music, and I forget the kid. But
I'm sorry to interrupt, but based on I know several students, and then I know their parents. Some are friends, some are coworkers, and your kids they love you and Brittany. And they come back. I know that they stay in touch with the choir and with their teachers. So, no, I think that you guys have done an amazing thing building those relationships.
Well, very good. Gosh, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you took the time to come and talk to us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Get your tickets to Feast of Carols, Festival of Carols, one word.
Feast of Carols.
Oh, I'm sorry, Feast of Carols, FEAST of Carols.ludus, LUDUS.com, and that sounds like a wonderful evening. I think the Parr family is going to be there. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex Medlock, Choir Director of Bryan High School. And as always, Dr. Hugo Ibarra, Community Outreach Officer for Bryan Independent School District.